I know, I said it, 7:10, we gotta go.
Next time we'll send the party in there.
It is really cold in this room. Oh, I didn't bring my, okay. Okay, so we're voting to come, who's made motion to get out of executive session? Dennis made a motion to come out of executive session. Come out of executive session.
Yeah, Dennis
And Tom Divany just seconded. All in favor? Aye. He's here, whatever. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. We're late. We're a little late, folks. We had some important stuff to talk about. Okay, so welcome everybody to the town board meeting, regular town board meeting of Tuesday, September 14th, 2021. Town clerk on a roll call.
Councilman Dennis Troy.
Present.
Councilman Tom Divany.
Here.
Councilman Paul Valentine.
Here.
Councilman Jerry Batari.
Here.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Here, and we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Supposed to say for Esther.
For Esther, we're going to have Paul lead the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have a couple of announcements. The town of Orangetown, we just want to start a new program, which basically is for providing discounted vouchers for people who want to get their cats spayed or neutered. And it's been very successful so far. We just started, and we've had, what, four already, so there you go. So anyway, there's information on our website, but basically it's a discounted, but you get some kind of voucher, and you can go get your cat spayed or neutered for discounted. The town has started the comprehensive plan process. So if you go to the town's website, you want to sign up and get automatic updates on it or emails on it or whatever, just go to the townoforangetown.com. You'll see a place to link on and do it. And then I just wanted a flood update for Rocklin County. So I'm just going to give a website to everybody. It's www.disasterassistance.gov. So, there's an email put out about FEMA. And FEMA's been down here and doing inspections and has been around town and the county. The municipalities have met the threshold to be available for FEMA funds. The decision on private residents, has not been made yet. So if you go to that site, you can kind of keep updated. I know they were here today, so they're still here and they're still inspecting. I don't quite know what the standard is, but that site will give you some information if you have suffered damage due to all the storms. Just from a personal point, we got hundreds and hundreds of emails with people who suffered either flooding damage or sewer damage. And I know it's tough because I've been someone who has suffered sewer damages myself, backups myself. So I know it's not easy, but I want to commend my highway department and my sewer department. They've been working around the clock, from what I can see, to try to get out to these houses and see what was done, to see what can be done. But they have to prioritize, and everyone, of course, thinks that they should be at their house first. And it's just, there was one down by Upper Grandview that there was like serious damage. So they're doing their best. Our engineering, our sewer, Jim Dean is here from the highway, to get out there. If you suffer damage and you think there's something could be done, by all means reach out. I will say, Jim, I was forwarding all the emails to your office, and it was the first time ever I got a kickback that your mailbox was full. Not you personally, but the highway one. And that's how I know the magnitude of the emails you must have been getting. But so anyway, there's just the website for everybody if they want to go on. So. We have some presentations. I know we're behind schedule, so we have budget presentations for the special district. So do we have the Orangeburg Library here?
All right, come on up. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm John Koziel. I'm the current president of the Orangeburg Greenbush Library. Due to times and situations, we know no financial issues arise with everybody in the town. So we'd like to ask for 0% this year, probably ask for 2 next year, but 0%, seeing that the way situations are, we've tightened our belt. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're going to be a hard act to follow.
Thank you.
We put you first for a reason, you know.
Tapan coming in.
Okay. The Tapan Library?
And they're coming for 3. Not getting it.
Good evening, everybody. Vicki Caramonte, representing the Tapan Library. I'm here this evening with Executive Director Sarah Nugent. We're here today to present our request for funding the library's 2022 operating budget, $737,879, representing a 3% increase of $21,492 over 2021. As the calendar turned to 2021, the Tapan Library continued our focus on meeting the needs of our patrons and the general public, whether through continued virtual offerings such as Kids Zumba or chair yoga for adults, outdoor children or family story time as the weather allowed, to carefully and thoughtfully offering indoor programming with health precautions in place. We remained steadfast in a steadfast resource for the community. To meet COVID-19 health protocols in 2021 and in consideration of the health and safety of our patrons and staff, we upgraded our HVAC system, offered electronic and curbside delivery, and as we opened the building to indoor activities, continued the cleaning and sanitizing protocols put in place the prior year. Following these guidelines has meant that patrons can access the building. However, we remain diligent in our cleaning and sanitizing and cautiously observant of the potential for the return to emergency measures should those directives come from state and local health officials. If you've received our most recent newsletter, you'll note that scores of both in-person and virtual opportunities are available because our patrons have asked for both. We continue to reach out to seniors and homebound patrons to help patrons of all ages access digital content and waive fines for the majority of our materials. In evaluating our services, we plan staffing changes that will result in a net annual salary increase of less than $5,000 and better meet the needs of the library's technology, business administration, and facilities needs. As previously provided to you, we've attached a summary of Tapan Library's budgets for 2016 through 2020. As a reminder, our allocation was reduced by the town by 10% in 2013 with no increase in either 2014 or 2015. In the years 2016, 17, and 18, we were granted a 2% increase each year. And the town board then granted no increase in either 2019 or 2020, yet expenses such as our insurance, books and materials, and utilities increased. We continue to be fiscally conservative, drawing down on our fund balance, and where needed, carefully and methodically paying down our mortgage. I'm happy to say we now have just about 4 years left on that mortgage, saving taxpayers over $300,000 over the life of the loan. As the needs of our patrons continue to change, our library director and staff continue to explore programming and services to meet those needs, maintaining or increasing service as feasible. In 2020, book circulation, of course, decreased. However, the use of e-materials increased dramatically. E-material retrievals, such as e-books and music, increased by 70%. Most telling for me, our registered card holders increased by a full 2%, a clear indication of how vital our libraries are to our community. Thank you. Any questions?
How much have you prepaid your mortgage?
We are down to $148,000 left.
And is that just regular payments or prepayments included?
Some of it was prepayments, yes.
What was the original mortgage?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
$750,000.
But any of those prepayments aren't really savings if you're coming back to the town board and asking for a higher budget.
They are because they reduce our principal and thereby our interest.
But no, but you're coming to us for that so you can prepay your budget. So you're going from Peter to pay
Saving
Paul.
taxpayers, this is money that was borrowed,
But then you're
money
asking
that's
the
levied.
taxpayers to give it back to you.
As you know, we have no other funding sources.
It's not really a savings, it's a false savings.
Well, it's still a savings because instead of paying the full mortgage out over the 20 years, we've been able to pay it down over, what are we at, 10, less than 10 years? 7 years, I think is what the number is. We took the mortgage out in 2015. So I say that that's a significant savings.
Good news
I
is,
disagree.
good news is you actually use fund balance. You say, that, I don't know, if it was 2010, where you got a 10% cut? I did that, right? And I'm still here. And the reason I did that was because each of the libraries had significant fund balances. All right, our fund balance here is, I don't know, 20%, 10%. All right, whereas the fund balances in the libraries were 50 to 100% to over 100%. You know, and
Well, that
that's,
certainly isn't the case
and that's
anymore.
taxpayer money. That's, so you can tell me what happened in 2010, all right? But from my perspective, I would not give you the 3%. I happen to agree with Tom. So I don't know how it'll play out.
Well, in my opinion, that just hurts the residents and the patrons of Orangetown.
You can say that, but the Tapan Library did their additions with no vote.
Correct, because
We-
we
we-
are
we
in a
in this
system
town,
where the
we-
town board
Vicki,
has to.
we in this town, I don't care if it's the fire departments, it's the town board, or whatever. We have people vote. Any of the fire departments that have done big extensions or new buildings,
Absolutely.
they've had votes. Sometimes you only had 60 people voting in it. The Tapan Library chose not to even have a vote. It's a beautiful library. I have 3 grandchildren who
I
go
don't think the law
there.
allows for
You know,
us to have a
so
vote.
more power to them. But still, I don't, that's the way to run a place. I don't believe that.
Well, we
My
can
opinion,
respectfully,
whatever it's worth.
we can respectfully disagree. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. A copy of our testimony. Thank you all.
Thank you. The Palisades Library.
Good evening, members of the Town Council. I'm Marjorie Galen. I'm the president of the Palisades Library Board of Trustees. Thank you for the opportunity to present our 2022 budget. For 2022, we are asking for a 2% increase over this year's budget, which is a total increase of $7,635. The Palisades Library trustees and director have been excellent stewards of the tax dollars entrusted to us, and we take our financial responsibilities seriously. We are proud of the expanded services we have been able to offer in the face of financial constraints. However, we cannot maintain our facilities and continue to meet the changing needs of our community without modest annual increases in funding from the town. Our last increase was in 2017. Over the course of these 5 years, we've managed to cap the rise in our operating expenses to around 1% a year, which is below the 2% tax cap mandated by the state. Without more funding from the town, we absorb the higher cost of business through offsets from our reserve fund. Since 2013, the time of our first 10% budget cut, we've spent down our reserves by nearly $400,000. Some of the reserves went towards general operating expenses, but most of the money was spent on improving and maintaining our beloved library building in the town's historic district. Part of our building dates back to the late 1800s, and maintenance is ongoing. This year, we are spending $20,000 to replace rotting windows, siding, and trim, and some as yet undetermined funds to repair Hurricane Ida flood damage in our children's room. More recently, we completed upgrades to our HVAC and elevator for $150,000 and repaired our electrical service to the building for $15,000. We applied for a grant and received $70,000 last year for the elevator and HVAC projects, and we will receive the remaining grant balance of $7,000 this year. We maintain the building so that we can provide a space of learning and enrichment for our community. The patterns of members' uses of the library has been changing over time, and the pandemic has caused more changes. Despite the pandemic, the number of library card holders increased over the past year. More patrons are reading ebooks and streaming online movies and online library events. This trend has continued after we opened the library to walk-in visits. Our reserves at this point won't last forever. We've gone through $400,000 in 9 years. By the end of this year, we expect to have $275,000 in cash reserves, 90% of which is restricted to cover expenses during January and February when we wait for the town check and for future building improvements. There is almost nothing left to plug the hole in our operating expenses. Without small incremental increases in funding, there will, in the near future, come a time that the Palisades Library will need a large increase or face service cuts. That's why we are asking for an additional $7,635 for 2022. we thank you for your continued support.
Marjorie, can I ask you a real quick question, and this actually applies to all of them. You guys get money from the school district too?
We do, yes.
Do you,
We do. We get a different, we each get a different amount now. It used to be we all got the same, but now we
Okay.
each get different amounts.
okay, so that would be on top of whatever this is here? Okay.
Yes.
I remember
And we
reading
count
about
that
it during
in.
the consolidation, and I
That's
just couldn't
counted-
remember.
That's counted in when we give you the budget. which
Okay.
money we'll get.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Give you this in case you would want.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot.
Who's next?
Okay, the Blauvelt Library.
They went down. Yeah, no problem. Hello. Thank you.
Hey, how are you? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Samantha McCullough, and I am the president of the Blauvelt Free Library Board of Trustees. Also with me is our library director, Laura, and our vice president, Mike Andrea. We are here this evening to respectfully request the town's funding for the library's fiscal year 2022. 2021 has been another very challenging year for both the library and its patrons. Our hope at this time last year was that 2021 would be a normal year, as normal as you can be after a pandemic, and we planned for that. However, the ongoing pandemic did impact the services we would have normally provided. Even with that backdrop, our dedicated director and her staff continue to provide first-class service to our patrons. While closed to foot traffic from March to early August, most transactions were conducted outside the entrance or in the vestibule. The staff made many home deliveries to ensure that residents in isolation were able to obtain books and media. In addition, whenever possible, the staff arranged for virtual programs to compensate for the lack of in-person programs. We also maintained our notary service, which our patrons have found to be extremely important during the pandemic. For the full year 2021, the library expects to spend $843,000. We've estimated that the closing restricted access to the library in 2021 will result in approximately $55,000 less in planned operating expenses. This includes 2021 spending plan reductions of $40,000 in general operating expenses and $15,000 in capital expenditures. 2021 funding from the external and internal sources should be in the amount of $871,000, which includes $700,000 from the town and $144,000 expected from the South Orangetown School District. Miscellaneous grants, fines, or money that we received from fines rather, and of about $3,000, and $23,000 from our reserves to replace and upgrade the library's aging furnace. The result of the aforementioned 2021 spending and funding will be projected full year 2021 surplus of $28,000, which can be attributed to reduced personnel expenses due to a reduction in hours and library programs. For 2022, the library is, again, planning on a normal year. Our projected spending plan is approximately $935,000. This spending plan is comprised of $870,000 for general operating expenses and $75,000 for planned capital improvements, which include our upgrades to our community room, which will be funded via our reserves. We anticipate that we will run a deficit in 2022 of approximately $26,000. It's for that reason we're respectfully requesting a 2% increase in our town funding from $714,000 to $714,000 in 2022. A 2% increase would reduce our estimated operating deficit by $14,000. We ask that the town board keep in mind that we have worked closely with the town for the last 13 years, and during that time, the library has requested no increase or increase through a reduction in funding for 10 of those 13 years. It should also be noted that in the last 12 years, the library has continually reviewed its general operating expenses, the result of which has been a 14% reduction in non-personal general operating expenses since 2010. When taking into account employee-related spending, our overall general operating expense has increased only 13% in the last 12 years. We continue looking for ways to control our spending. As for our reserves, we are projecting a year-end 2021 balance of $1.1 million. In 2022, we are planning to upgrade our community rooms so that we can enhance and broaden the programs we have to offer. This upgrade has been delayed for over a year due to the pandemic. We understand that given our reserves, we are in very good financial standing. However, we are asking the town to increase our funding in 2022 so that we can keep our general operating expenses versus the funding gap to a manageable level. In turn, we can commit to the town that we will continue to use our reserves for capital projects and uncontrolled, unforeseen expenses instead of requesting additional funding. As is always the case, the Blauvelt Library will continue to work with the town regarding its funding needs and reserve balance. The library continues to go above and beyond in providing valuable services to the hamlet and all South Orangetown residents. During these difficult times, our director, library staff, and friends groups will continue to work together to provide the services and programs that line up with the interests of our patrons. We continue to strive to remain relevant in the town of Orangetown by providing the highest level of programs and services to the community. Thank you for your time and consideration. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you have any big-time capital projects coming up that you're aware of?
The renovation of the community room.
Right, so we have the renovation of the community room.
Besides that?
No, I think
We wanted to do some exterior work on the grounds, like a walkway, because it got chewed up during the construction, so the back of the library, the yard is all chewed up, so
Okay.
that might be
All
a
right.
future project.
That's it.
All right, thank you so
Thank you.
much. Have a great evening.
Rocklin Paramedics?
Evening, Supervisor Kenny
How are
and the
you?
rest of
Good
the
to see
town
you.
board. How are you doing this evening? So my name is Tim Egan. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the Chief Information Officer for Rocklin Paramedic Services. Rocklin Paramedics is a community-based, not-for-profit 501c3 organization, as I'm sure you all know. We are the sole 911 paramedic provider for all of Rocklin County, and we've been serving the town of Orangetown. This year was our 30th anniversary with the town of Orangetown, so thank you for your support over the past 3 decades. We really appreciate it. We've been providing uninterrupted paramedic service here in the county for, as I said, quite a while. Last year, we served the Rocklin County population with almost 25,000 911 responses, and that was a 25% increase over the past 20 years since 2001. And in the town of Orangetown, we did 3,234 calls, which was a 28% increase in that same 20-year period. So we've been doing that with the same number of resources all along, that single paramedic unit with 2 paramedics. So one thing I want to make you aware of is a severe staffing shortage in EMS in really the country, but in New York State and in the Hudson Valley in particular. And COVID has really hurt us very, very hard. It's hurt EMS in general, but in particular, it's hurt Rocklin Paramedics very hard. I've had 30-year paramedics crying in my office because of the stress of the COVID responses that they did over the past 18 months. It's been a really tough year and a half. We've had a lot of people leave. We've had people leave simply because they didn't want to be exposed to this virus. They've retired early. They've gone back to school. They've sought other careers. And as a result, we have a significant paramedic shortage with Rocklin Paramedics. So what have we done about that? Well, like most not-for-profits or many not-for-profits, we received PPP money. I spoke about that with Mr. Bensick a few weeks ago. We received a significant amount of PPP money that we immediately applied to paramedic raises in an attempt to stabilize our staffing. Salary is one of the biggest reasons why EMS is understaffed throughout the country and in the Hudson Valley. And we did what we could to make ourselves as marketable as possible in comparison with other paramedic services in the region. So we gave our paramedics a substantial increase, but that PPP money is only going to last for a year. It's only going to cover a year's worth of increases. Our current financial situation, you have our audited financials, you have detailed information with regard to the budget, as well as the increase letter that we submitted to the town. But I want to talk to you a little bit about expenses. So our expenses over the past 9 years have increased by almost 23%. And a couple of examples I want to give you. Health and dental have increased over 26%, medical supplies and pharmacy over 30%, commercial insurance 44%, and of course salaries, which I was just speaking about a minute ago, 45%. So we've had very significant increases in our expenses, most of which have been completely out of our control. So we recognize that we're asking you for a substantial increase. We know that. We appreciate the increases that we've received each year over the past 30 years. But in order to continue serving the community, this is what we need to do. We are investing out of our reserve fund in capital equipment. We've already purchased a new paramedic fly car for the town of Orangetown. That's going to go into service as soon as the retrofitters can finish with that vehicle. We're negotiating replacements for our cardiac monitor defibrillators, and that's a several $100,000 cost. We're paying for that out of our reserve fund. And even getting the increases, we're still going to be operating at a deficit in 2022, and we're going to continue to chip away at our expenses in the hopes that we can start to break even again. So I'd entertain any questions.
I have a question, although I don't know if that you're going to know the answer, and it's really
I'll do my best.
somewhat outside of this. There's two houses, and there's confusion about whether, in Orangetown up over here on Blaisdell Road, and there's confusion about whether the paramedics occupy both of them or use one for training.
That's exactly right. We use one for training. We occupy the other one as our medic station for the town.
It's like an office, the other one?
Yeah, well, you know the size of those houses there. So we have a training room set up where the living room is and offices in the other spaces, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Just for the board's edification, almost the entirety of the increase is coming from salaries, which is $207,000, which they're asking for a $200,000 increase. Based on that, you would still lose $125,000 in 2022. You did have a increase in your fund balance from 1.3 million to 2.2 million, entirely due to the federal CARES Act or whatever.
Correct. That was the PPP loan that converted to a grant earlier this year, I believe in April.
So I just, for the board's edification.
How much was the?
So your fund balance is 2.2 million?
Our fund balance is more than that. We're going to lose $230,000 in '22.
The budget here, what you have represented here is 1,377,000.
You got
Yes.
200% fund balance.
$1,477,000.
Why do you need a 200% fund balance?
Why do we need a 200% fund balance? You know, I can't answer that question. We're using our fund balance to pay for our losses with regard to our capital equipment. We're using it to pay for our capital equipment right now.
I get that.
And, I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
I mean,
Now, we get into, with fire departments. In fire departments, what happens is, they build up their fund balance because they gotta buy a hook and ladder, every 15 years, whatever it is. So, there's a method to the madness.
Absolutely.
Fund balances. So again, we just went through this with the libraries. So, in terms of our paramedic, fund balance is still, taxpayer money.
Yes, sir.
So, again, why do you need that big a fund?
So, one example I can give you, and I believe Mr. Bensick is, okay, please, go ahead.
what do you got?
Well, part of the reason, Dennis, is that they have a budget here that is just for the town. The fund balance is for the whole county-wide operation,
Right.
so you would have to look at the revenues for that as well to get a more accurate percentage of the fund balance versus the revenue. We only have one fly car here represented. I think you have 6 fly cars in the county.
Correct.
So it would be 1/6 that percentage. So if it was 200%.
No, it wouldn't be one. It would be.
35%.
I mean, we're bigger than Harrisville, so we probably have more than 1/6. It might be 20%.
Whatever that number is, it's gonna be relevant to deciding whether it's 17%.
And the fund balance goes toward capital equipment. Just to give you an example, we're spending about $500,000 on cardiac monitor defibrillators in the next 60 days or so. And that's just one example of capital equipment that we have to
As an
replace.
old guy, I
This should be handled.
You're welcome.
But even if we're 20% of that, it's still $600,000. So you still got 50% of fund balance for the town, and that's still a lot more than the recommended 12 to 20% fund balance. It's taxpayer dollars that are just sitting around.
I think you gotta give better numbers to Jeff, and then we can decide.
And
Every time you do a call, don't you get reimbursed?
No, we do not. Our sole source of funding is from the town. The ambulance corps get reimbursed.
That's-
They
That's
get
the other one.
reimbursed, but you don't?
That's correct.
yeah, that's a whole
Why would that be?
crazy situation.
It's state law. state law or federal law, I'm not sure.
So,
But
Call
all
you
of this
guys.
is done through the ambulance corps. They do the billing for both advanced life support and basic life support.
and that's only because one agency can bill the insurance companies, Medicare or Medicaid. The transporting agency is the billing agency for those calls. We can't bill for that. Only the transporting agency can bill for that. And as Mr. Bensick said, they bill either at the ALS rate or the BLS rate, depending on whether or not there was a paramedic on board that vehicle with an interagency agreement with us.
So you don't actually transport anybody?
We are a non-transporting service, that's correct.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
But Jeff, I'm sorry to jump in, on the billing, this is something we were going to address, I guess, with the ambulance corps.
Yeah.
Which we're not going to be able to do because of unfortunate situations, neither one of them can make it tonight.
They knew what we were doing.
Once you-
Mr. Romish is right there.
Oh, okay, we were told he wasn't coming. I was gonna say they knew we were gonna hit them up with, I guess, you know. Okay, anybody have any other questions?
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Oh,
One, on the houses, I just asked Eric to come in. It's 2 houses there on Chief Bill Harris Way?
Yes.
And one is not occupied? Because I know that
Oves,
OVESC has been inquiring about them as well.
Oves wants one. They want both of them, actually, but,
What's that?
yeah, but there are houses.
They are property.
Okay, so when you say we don't get involved over there. I don't know what that means. I mean, I have a problem. I already had Denise Sullivan looking into it. I don't think we have any agreements or anything. I don't know how.
What,
this
I know we do with
happens.
OVESC.
With OVES we do, but I don't think we do with
Right.
paramedics, and I think,
Right, I think we're going to have to get that taken care of in the next.
Didn't we have an agreement when we had to move?
Yeah, I thought we did as well.
I thought once they
How
had to
long ago was
move
that?
across the street or something.
Actually, up the street, but yeah, we did.
how long was that?
I don't know.
It was while I was on the board, so.
I mean, it was a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we haven't an agreement there in years.
Dennis could still hear that.
So anyway, okay, well, that's for another day.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good. I can dig into that for you. I'm pretty sure we do have an agreement in place, but
Yeah, I don't know. Didn't I ask, didn't you guys look at the agreements? You don't remember? I think Teresa got them all for me. Okay. Okay, thank
okay,
you.
thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, South Orangetown Ambulance Corps.
I know,
Because we don't have the budget, so we can't even.
I know.
So, but how do you know? You almost have to have a.
Good evening, everyone. Peter Romisher, South Orangetown Ambulance Corps. Currently the Deputy Chief and Treasurer of the agency. Agency is providing care to the community since 1957. I've been a member of the organization since 1986. I've been an EMT since 1988. I wanted to start off by addressing Dennis. I've been through many of these presentations with Dennis on this board, and good luck in your choice to not seek re-election, and we appreciate you as well as the supervisor and all the other board members who have been on this board for so many years, and how we consider you guys friends to the agency. And I know we're a vendor to you guys. Well, I don't think you consider us a vendor. We don't consider us to be a vendor of the town. We really consider ourselves to be part of the town, a town agency. We come to you tonight with a budget request for 2022, an unchanged net amount to the town of the same $400,000. Our total operating budget we are planning for 2022 is $1,057,000. Our take of the revenue recovery, the billing that we do at the BLS or ALS rate, depending if an ALS evaluation or a transport was done, our take to keep the budget at $400,000 is $657,000 this year. While we're speaking about revenue recovery collections, and I had this conversation with Jeff, back in 2015, we were collecting $959,000. 2016, it went down to $850,000. Last year was $726,000, and this year it's going to be probably come somewhere in the same ballpark. Whether things are delayed with COVID, whether billing rates we're not collecting as much as we used to, but we're still being just as aggressive with the revenue recovery collections that we always have been. and we're trying to see if there's even more that we can do. What else would I like to tell you? Our calls for service. We're projecting in 2021 to end the year with 2,376 calls for service, of which it'll be about 1,500 transports. In 2020, we were 2,326 calls for service with 1,500 transports. And again, you bill based on transports. So even though we were, and we put the numbers together and I shared it with Jeff, in 2015, we were transporting just about 80% of the time. Currently, our transports are just about 65 to 62% of the time. So that's accounting for a drop of about $200,000 in revenue recovery that we shared in 2015-16 that we're not currently being able to take advantage of in 2020 and 21. We added some new standbys to our calendar this year. We were covering town pickleball tournaments. We were up at the ballpark covering the Tapan High School and the middle school graduations up in Ramapo. We will continue to do those standbys, continue to cover Gaelic events, and looking forward to additional events at the Tapan Masonic grounds. And again, I do bring back to the core the appreciation that you guys show us and the gratitude that you give us, and we continue to seek that same relationship going forward. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
0%. You're great.
0%. You know, I had this conversation with Jeff. Not only is it 0, but we do give back that extra $100,000 to the town each year to partially offset the ALS contract. We are trying to continue to give back, and that's in stone. We're going to do that for 2022. But, you know, we are still trying to do our building expansion. We are back on the calendar with the planning board. Our calls for service are going up, and the time is coming where we're going to wind up with a 4th ambulance in our fleet for transports. And it's just, you know, I guess there's more building going on in town. There's more of the independent living and the senior living places, and our calls for service are definitely going up, and we hope that we're meeting the needs of the town and that you guys are happy with our service, and we are definitely happy with the support that we get from you guys. And
Peter Soek does a great job. You guys, I think you're like 11 years in a row coming in at 0%. And that's because you guys get such a great recovery rate. And, you know, it's a pleasure dealing with you guys.
The other thing, SOAC, they're in every community event.
we try. We really do.
My mother was in Thorpe Village for 17 years, and they used to do a fundraiser for the ambulance with SOAC and also Sparkville Fire Department.
The craft fair.
And the reason being that you had regular runs over there in Thorpe Village, you know. So, thank you.
It's nice when it's the community people taking care of the community people, and we try for that. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
No, Lovell Fire Company. One more, because Nyack's not coming. They called to cancel at the last minute, I don't know why. Thank you.
Good evening. Mike Conklin from the Below Volunteer Fire Company, ex-chief, past president, and now the treasurer, sort of catch-all for everything. To Supervisor Kenny and the members of the board, the Below Volunteer Fire Company is submitting a budget for the fire protection services, the hamlet and town of Blauvelt, for 2022-23 for the amount of $639,540. This is included this year. We are taking on the workman's comp in our budget. Our budget has been the same for the previous 5 years, and unfortunately, we cannot do it again at this time. We did ask for an increase last year and did not receive it. We did choose to exercise and stay under the 2% increase cap. We've worked hard to lower our budget to the taxpayers of Blauvelt, as we did use our reserves to reduce the coming year's budget. We did receive our new MP during 2021, at which time we had started the updating of our SCBA's in replacement when we replaced the MP. We'll be moving forward again on updating our SCBA's on one of our older trucks this year. The cost of a truck purchased from our reserve account fund, and we have now started a new committee to explore the replacement of our 98 2001 pumper for 22-23 budget year. This is previously put into a 25-year replacement budget, and we presented that several years ago of all of our equipment across the board. And the 2001 replacement truck cost now will be about $685,000 associated with it. Materials have skyrocketed during COVID, and during the past year we have enhanced our jaws of life with 2 new lighter weight battery-operated tools and used our equipment reserve to do so. We have completed the improvement to our fencing around our firehouse from our capital improvement fund. We are out right now for a bid to seal our parking lot before cold weather, and within the coming year we're working on HVAC and boiler replacement due to its age and efficiency. During the 2021, we have completed our LED lighting project both inside and out. We had to dip into our reserves during COVID supplies this year, and we are still providing the best protection for our firefighters. We have worked hard with our insurance carriers for better pricing and cancer protection and life insurance program to our firefighters. Along with the guidelines of the cancer protection, we are now required to clean our gear more often than we did with an additional off-site cleaning. We have washing machines and dryers there, but now it requires it to go out to be done. BVFC is dedicated to continue to provide the best possible service as fire protection service to the community of Blauvelt, controlling our costs and taxes in the community which we live. Again, we were supposed to have a banner year with our 75th anniversary, but we are held back now to the spring of 2022. As always, BVFC is ready to continue to serve our community. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Mike.
Questions?
Questions?
No.
Anybody?
You've
Jeff, you got
always
anything?
worked with the town board, so.
Excuse me?
You've always worked with our town board to.
Yes, we have. Thank you. And thank you, Dennis, for
No?
your service, too. Appreciate it.
No?
Thank you.
Vader? Okay. Vader. He said something. No, he said to me he had something to say later. Okay. And Nyack, right, is not here.
I can brief the board. I met with NIAC, Community Ambulance Corps. They had to unfortunately couldn't make it. They are requesting a 9.6% increase. The majority of the reason for that is the salary increases. There seems to be a significant shortage of EMT people, and so last year they came and presented and told you that they had to increase their rate to $20 per hour. They did that, so that is reflected in their costs. They are seeing the same trend in terms of the ALS and BLS reimbursements are declining, so that's putting them behind the 8 ball a little bit. Let me see if I can find that from
Jeff, do you know what they're increasing Clarkstown by? Or trying to get, what's their increase they're asking Clarkstown for?
Same as us.
And that whole billing thing that we discussed, do they do it the same way with, does Clarkstown handle it?
Well,
That
9
whole-
ambulance is split 50-50 between Clarkstown
Right.
and
I don't
us.
Right.
understand.
The town of Orangetown gets half a fly car from the paramedics for NIAC. They at NIAC Ambulance actually have a contract with them, and they pay for that fly car. Now, they negotiated a very good deal on it, and 5-year contract, so we're not seeing the same increase for Rocklin paramedics there that they are requesting the rest of the towns, because they have a 5-year contract. We only do 1-year contracts with all of our vendors, so unfortunately, in that sense, we got hurt. But yeah, no, it seems to be a challenge for all of the EMT agencies right now in terms of keeping people, having to increase costs, salary costs, and lower revenue reimbursements across the board.
I'll talk about it again. I mean, that whole thing with the billing. Right. It's done differently in Clarkstown than us, right?
It's done differently in Clarkstown.
They do the billing?
Well, no, the ambulance still does the billing.
Right.
But Clarkstown gets the revenues for that.
Okay.
That's how that works.
Okay. We're not going to have that conversation again. There's a whole, we met,
Come up in the meetings?
We met, there's issues with it legally, and
That didn't come up in the meeting, that came up in the supervisors meeting.
So they take the billing, goes into general fund?
Haverstraw does it the same way, so it's.
there's something, but that's how it's supposed to be done. We're not doing it right.
In terms of the breakdown, Nyack residents.
There's legal description.
Orangetown residents versus Clarkstown residents.
50/50 straight across the board.
It's 50/50, and the revenues coming in are 50/50?
The revenues come into Nyack Ambulance Corps, so then they offset, that. You know,
But
based
there
on-
was some imbalance.
Well, there is a little imbalance, because Clarkstown gets the full amount of their residents for the ALS and BLS recoveries. For Orangetown, it goes to Nyack Ambulance, and then.
This is what we were talking about. There's a question with how this is being done.
The plan is to change that.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Real quick, the water district's on here. Do you want to say what you spoke today with, going back to Tom, what we talked to the fire district about yesterday?
Well, I mentioned to Tom, you mean
Oh, you
about?
did. You talked to him already?
Yeah, about
Okay.
the tax issue.
Right, maybe not being able to do it this year?
Right, we're going to have to look into it in terms of the hydrants, because the assessment roll has been in, and it wasn't included as part of it. So we may have to do that for 2023.
Well,
But
as
we'll,
long as we can make them whole for any overages, because, you know, they were counting on that savings, so.
right, well, that was the other question that came up that Jeff had. Well, go ahead.
There's another problem that, Comptroller's office got back with me today and indicated that they will not adjust our tax cap levy for the South Nyack dissolution until after it takes effect, so the following year. So,
How can that even be?
Right, well, I saw, the email said the year following dissolution. So it's, I'm assuming or that they assume that it's always December 31, that you would dissolve, right? But
It's not happening.
they're saying, which it doesn't seem like it could be, like, we'll speak to them.
Yeah,
makes
it
sense
doesn't,
logically because we're incurring the costs for South Nyack for the budget year 2022, and at least the way I read this email is they're not willing to adjust our tax cap for 22 to reflect those additional costs until 2022.
no, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it says the year following dissolution, but, the first year following dissolution, but next year's, no, I know she said the number, but I said next year is really the first year of dissolution.
We will continue conversations on that.
That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Well, it goes back to why originally we were talking about doing it at the end of
Figure it out.
December next year.
What doesn't make any sense is our late and great governor, he was encouraging, consolidation. All right, we worked as a town board diligently on the dissolution with the South Nyack. I really partnered with them through the whole thing. For them to punish us in 2022 doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, try and get to the new governor's office.
I completely agree with you, Dennis.
Well, we have a
Dennis,
call with Alex on,
To quote a great American, it's clear as mud.
no,
That guy is a great American.
okay. We have a presentation from Onyx.
Do you have the paper? Did you get his presentation?
No.
Is that what that is? It says corporate law.
It's the old, League place, right? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Changed for
It's
us.
not. It's Restaurant Depot. Yeah.
Just need a moment for the, there we go. Thanks, Matt.
Subject to which we have to reopen. If they don't put the road, they're not subject.
Good evening Supervisor Kenny, members of the town board. My name is Seth Mandelbaum. I'm a partner with the law firm of McCullough, Goldberger, and Stout. Pleased to be here this evening with Matthew Flath, who's Vice President of Asset Management for Onyx Equities LLC. We're here to discuss the property at 100 Corporate Drive in Blauvelt. and to request a minor zoning district line adjustment, which we'll take you through here in a moment. This building is part of the former Bradley Corporate Park, which Onyx purchased in 2019 and has rebranded as Hudson Crossing. And here you could see Route 303 and the corporate drive. This building currently has Restaurant Depot on the first floor, so essentially if you're coming from the north, you make a right in here and go to the back to go into Restaurant Depot on the first floor. There is one tenant, Schramm Incorporated, on the third floor, and there's an area of about 43,000 square feet on the third floor of this building that has been vacant since the building was built in 2009. As I mentioned, Onyx purchased the park in 2019, and about 43,000 square feet has been vacant that whole time. And Onyx has recently identified a tenant to occupy 22,500 square feet of that vacant third floor space. The tenant is District 96. I know there's no competition between towns in Rocklin, but they would be relocating from Clarkstown to Orangetown from their new city location for a larger location here. And the issue is that the property is, not only is the property in two zoning districts, the building is in two zoning districts. This dotted line is the line between the LI zone on this side and the LI zone on this side, and this is the outline of the building. So the zoning actually runs through the middle of the building. Here's where Schramm is located. Here's the space that District 96 would go in on the third floor, and this space in the middle would still be vacant. And just to show you a little bit more detail here, this orange line is the zoning line. The nightclub use, which is the same use that Defiant Brewery has for their tap room type use essentially, is the white area. And then the light manufacturing, which is where they actually would make the beer, is this gray area. So as you can see, the line runs right through here. And the issue is not the manufacturing. It's actually allowed in both zones, LI and LIO. It's this nightclub use that's allowed in this part of the space, but literally not allowed in the same building over here. And we did go back to District 96 and asked them if they could reconfigure their space, but because it's such specialized equipment to brew the beer and hold the beer in these large vats, and just the way it lays out with building code requirements for assembly, they indicated with their architect they were not able to reconfigure it. So we came to Jane Slavin and we met with Jane and the supervisor and the town attorney and said, okay, what's the best solution here? And they mentioned Town Plaza 2, which had a similar problem in 2018. There were two different buildings in two different zones where a restaurant was allowed in one building but not allowed in another building on the same property, and the town board granted the relief in that case. So the request is essentially to take this line here and just move it down to the edge of the property so that this property would all be in the LI zoning district, and that is the extent of the request. So it was suggested that we come to you this evening to make an informal presentation, answer any questions you might have, and if the board is amenable to this idea, then we would file a petition the next day or so to get on your September 28th agenda to ask you to set a public hearing for November 9th to give the county referral and the planning board referral enough time under their 30-day requirement. But we were advised it's better to come before you and talk to you about it and have it at a public meeting before we file that petition. So that is essentially our presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
You have a nightclub there. Tell me what that is. So I've been into Defiant Brewery. It's not a nightclub.
Well, it's essentially the use that is permitted in the zoning district that allows for a tap room type use.
You know what, have you
It's
been-
essentially a place to
It's very much like Defiant. It's
like-
where
it's
Burger
Burglar.
I did the same thing. I said,
yeah, it's not the Copacabana. It's
On the other side of 303, there was a place that tried to do a nightclub, and it was
Well.
And an old diner.
Yeah, that was totally illegal.
Oh, no, no.
All right, Dennis, keep your parachute pants in your bedroom.
No, but it's a fair question, and we worked through that issue with Jane Slavin and Rick Oliver to try to work through what would be a permitted use
Members-only jacket.
for what they'd like to do, and that was the use that is
My
allowed.
Capizio shoes.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is this in the 303 overlay zone, and what effect will this zoning change have on that and parking and entrance?
It is in the overlay zone. The building is set back already from Route 303. And I don't believe this would take it out of the overlay zone, but I'll defer to the town council.
Yeah, no,
But you're not increasing the footprint of the building.
No.
No, the building,
So-
it's literally moving a line on a map.
Yeah.
If you look at this, I mean, it really just a little
It's
piece.
ridiculous. The building you were talking about, half of the building could have a restaurant, and the other half couldn't.
Right.
It wasn't even different buildings.
Oh, okay,
That's
yeah.
how bad that was.
And I guess that was about 3 years ago.
Mountain was the pizza, the restaurant, right? The Mountain, wasn't it? They had
For
a-
Foxes that burned down, Foxes.
So cold.
Yes, that's exactly, that's exactly.
Go on Mountain View in 303.
Yeah.
Oh, it used to send mingling all the time.
There was a steakhouse.
So it's a total of 22,500 square feet. Let's see, the nightclub part of it would be just under 17,000 square feet for the tap room serving food and draft beer. And then the manufacturing would be about 5,600 square feet. There's also a 4,100 square foot accessory kitchen that goes with the tap room part of the use. So essentially, people would sit out here, they could have the beer that's manufactured here with food cooked back in here. And this will have to go through the full review by the planning board and likely the zoning board for the parking variance. So this is sort of the first step to allow the use to go through that process.
Yeah.
so it would require variances?
Yeah, but they have a whole, it's full.
We believe it would need a parking variance similar to Defiant Brewery, but taking advantage of the shared use provision in the code.
That's plenty.
Well, right now, I don't think they're allowed to make a left out of it, Jerry. They gotta make a right, or they gotta go down and around.
You're coming out on 303 from there. That's okay, it's later on. Fire department.
Uh-oh, fire department wants to talk.
We had many accidents coming out of the Onyx property there at Bradley because of that left-hand turn, making a right only, and now people making left or making a left in there illegally. And we've had multiple accidents there. If they were to add something to the backside of that park, of the end, to the south of that parking lot for an exit, it might make that a little bit easier. But again, we have
That's planning.
That'll be planning board, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is.
We'll do a full traffic,
It should be. 'cause I
we'll do a
had
full
like
traffic
that
analysis, of course, for the planning board.
in there. And you can't see anything. And you do. I always was hitting the island.
No. Anybody else got questions?
No, I'm
I
good.
mean, I had met
I
about
think
it,
it's,
so.
I'm actually okay with it.
yeah, it looks good. I'd like to see more.
Okay.
So just to be clear, should we go ahead and file our petition to be on your next agenda to consider, referrals out and setting a public hearing?
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of this.
Okay.
But we have to keep it a secret. Do not let George Homan find out.
Are you bringing
He's
Bergaloff?
coming from Clarkstown.
Is Bergaloff coming?
I'd say others.
Yeah, but are they bringing
One step at a time.
their secret sauces? All right. Okay.
Okay, we'll share with Clarkstown.
So thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to workshop the agenda items. Number 3 is to schedule a public hearing amending Chapter 5 with adopting the New York Stretch Energy Code. Is Jane here? Does she want to come up and... Jane?
Run out.
Just want to get her to give a quick... Jessica? That's okay. It's on the stretch code, just a real brief. You don't got to go into, I know we've talked about it before.
Right, so the Clean Energy Communities grant that we've been working towards for a couple of years now, this is one part of it where we could get points towards it, and it's
And money.
New York, and money, yes, it could mean $50,000 in grant funding for the town. New York Stretch Code is a code that's added on top of our regular energy code, and it does produce savings. They have studies, which I did provide in the backup. The code is going this direction, and right now it's projected that it will actually be adopted in 2022 as part of the actual state energy code. So if that happens, it'll still be the same provisions. That's what we're being told. But if the town adopts it earlier than that, which there are a number of municipalities that have already done it throughout the state, then we're eligible for this, the grant money. So that's why we're looking at doing it sooner than later.
Yeah, okay. So we're setting a public hearing date.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, number 4 is to amend resolution. This is for Zarin and Simon, so we have to up the cap.
Up the cap, yep.
Up the cap on that. Hopefully that's coming to some kind of head. Number 5 is approve, authorize a settlement to tax certiorari matter. It's a pretty big one, but anyway. Yeah. We have the certificate of sewer registrations. Number 7 is the flex site plan to hold harmless agreement. I guess Rob can speak to it more, but I guess they need to build something in the critical environmental area, and they're going to hold the town harmless.
Well, it's an easement. They're going to do some work in an easement, so, that the town has. So they can do that as long as they sign the hold harmless.
A document, okay. And we have a bunch of lend assistance. So we have number 8 is lend assistance for the Pearl River Rotary Annual Jake Amon Fishing Contest. Number 9 is the Noble Ninth Trauben Fest. Number 10 is the school, the use agreement with the school district, finally for the pool. They finally, right, we're all worked out on that. So that kind of goes hand in hand with 12, was with the school resource officers.
Right, 10 was on hold, due to COVID. It actually ended that year, 2020. And we couldn't use it. It wasn't open. We couldn't use it either anyway, so it's a new agreement, yeah.
No, but they both now take into the fact that if it ever happens again, how we credit and stuff like that. Okay. Number 11, again, lend aid to the GA NYPD NYFD Gaelic football match on Saturday, September 18th. Again, 12 is for the school resource officer. 13, lend aid and assistance to the Orangeburg Fire Department holiday parade. Can't believe we're talking about holiday parades already. 14, lend aid to the 2021 Pearl River Day Festival, which is going to be on October 16th. 15, approve lend assistance to the Polish Festival. Oh, okay. I was going to say, wow. Okay. Approve lend assistance to the 2021 Annual Halloween Parade for the Orangeburg Fire Department on October 31st. Approve lend assistance to the Pearl River Fire Department Car Show on September 19th. And then we have appoint Ellie Fordham to position of Administrative Secretary. This is just basically going to permanent, no changes. Number 19 is the assessor's car that we've been talking about. Approve the purchase off the state bid for a vehicle, which I'm told they have, so it's a good thing we're approving it. And then 20 is the Justice Court just is looking for permission to apply for a grant. That's good. And then we have accept, receive, and file, and vouchers. Okay, so good stuff. Okay, let's what's all lend assistance? Okay, so can I get a motion to open the public portion?
Moved.
Tom Dimney moved. Second.
I'll second it.
Paul Vaughn, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Michelle Hamilton? Did she leave? She was just here a minute ago. Okay, so she comes back. Okay. I guess she left. Okay. Paul Sanguinet? I'm just going to remind everybody, we have a timer up here, so it's 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'd like to open up some dialogue with the board and the engineer and the highway department on correcting this flooding on Villa Drive. It's been going on 55 years. I think we need to settle this problem at some point. I've been here before about it, but it's getting worse. So I've already talked to Mr. Dean in his office
Yeah, I'm
about
sorry, you
it.
said Villa Drive, right?
Yeah, sorry?
You said it's on Villa Drive?
Yes, 21 Villa.
Which end of Villa is that?
It's toward Town Line Road, side, and, yeah, it's the Bucci's and Sanguinetti house, and it's pretty bad.
Is it, besides those two houses, is it
No,
others?
no, well, the other houses have filled in their properties, so they don't get flooded anymore. And these two houses get flooded
I remember this.
very bad. And I'll come back again, I'll show you pictures from 50 years ago, and I'll show you pictures now. Hasn't changed. It's probably flooded 20 times. I'm tired of it. There's a little bit of a legal issue about the easement there, which I understand. This is a problem that can be solved.
Is there an easement or no easement?
I think there's an easement there. Is Jim here? I saw him here before. Yeah, there is an easement there, but there was two pieces of pipe that were added to the culvert that belonged to the Bucci's, which he's already removed one because it's rotted away, so he removed it. The pipe is pretty much halfway rotted and filled in with soil. It's only a 2-foot pipe. It needs to be enlarged. And the catch basins on each side of the road, one side is collapsed twice and the other side is collapsed once. So it needs to be addressed at some point.
Okay, okay.
I mean, it's just dialogue, so let's just keep it open, and I'd like to, get some response out of everyone.
Okay, well,
Does
we
that sound
certainly,
Yeah,
sounds,
just, is Eamon here?
Eamon's here. Is it Eamon or is it Jim?
Yeah.
I think it's Jim. It's
Jim.
both.
Both.
Double trouble.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
John Park.
Hello. This is regarding item number 10, use of the Soames Pool Facility. My name is John Park, and I've been living in Orangeburg for going on to 9 years. I have 3 kids, fully know South Orangetown as their school district since kindergarten and now on to Soames. It's a beautiful town, wonderful residents, and we've been able to enjoy the beauties of living in suburbia while balancing the sophistication of being so close to New York City. And with that comes a really nice cultural thing that we learned while living here, which is the emphasis on youth athletics. We all know about the local successes in basketball, lacrosse, softball, and soccer. And swimming is also a sport that a lot of Orangetown residents enjoy. Unfortunately, access and choice have been limited, as this town lacks a town pool, and I'm asking the board to consider opening up time slots to a swim club that 2 of my children enjoy right now, and we've been involved in it for 5 years. We tried out all of the private swim teams and decided Phoenix Aquatics Club was the best one that provided individualized attention and a nurturing environment for our children. And as we've continued within those 5 years, I really enjoyed how much swimming has positively impacted my children. They've grown in strength and teen camaraderie. I wish other Orangetown residents can also enjoy that, because they'll be gaining an actual human skill set that all of us should have. The ask is that town considers giving choices to its residents, even though there is another swim club who is also requesting the time slots. This is a capitalist world. Choices bring about competition, which brings about excellence. And Phoenix itself has proven itself with a head coach who's coached Olympians, Hall of Famer Janet Evans, and multiple collegiate swimmers. A fun fact here, 100% of Phoenix swimmers go on to college, and 95% of them continue to go into collegiate swimming. These are college students swimming at Ivy's D1s in the Big Ten. This is an amazing testament to how awesome the swim club is. What I found also awesome here is that Phoenix is asking for time slots that will prioritize the younger swimmers. Right now, availability to the swim facilities is limited. Phoenix used to swim at HNA, and now you guys know what's happening with HNA. And Phoenix wants to make sure that the youngest swimmers are also benefiting from this request. Again, the request is that Orangetown residents receive choices to which clubs to join. This is not a pitch for a new swim club to start a business in Orangetown. This is a request that the town considers granting time slots to an already existing swim club with a proven record that also serves Orangetown and local residents. Thank you.
Is that Don Wagner?
Yes.
So he coached my niece who went on to swim D1 swimming, and now she's a doctor in the U.S. military. So I
Excellent.
know Don from what the good work he's done. I didn't realize he was coaching over at H&A or using H&A.
It's the facilities that they were using
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they don't have a pool
Where is this
specifically.
school located? Like, where are they
It's a-
located? Where's their base? Is there a house?
Apparently they would train.
They're in Rockland specific. I think they're
He was
registered
with
in
the
Rockland.
Condors for a lot of years, the coach, and I
I just never heard of them, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I haven't heard of Phoenix.
Yeah, so right now they're swimming. Their main swimming base is in Hillsdale, and that's because that just happened to be an open facility, from what I understand.
they get what they can.
It's an outdoor facility.
So most of the swimmers are from Rocklin or from Orangetown or? from
Bergen and
all-
Rockland, and
Bergen and
some even come from farther because of the gravity that Coach Don has. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I will happy to get statistics from, they've been emailing. I don't know how many Orangetown kids they have. Sounds familiar, huh?
Yes. That's what I was just.
Yeah,
wondering.
exactly. Okay. Dan Powers.
Let them be.
Good evening, how you guys doing? My name is Dan Powers, I reside at 4 Rennie Lane in Blauvelt. I'm a lifelong resident. Last 15 years on Rennie Lane. Since I've lived there, in the last 12 years, I've been flooded on the downstairs of my home from drainage from the town, the school. The last storm, which was very bad, took a foot of water through the bottom of my home, not the basement. I've lost the entire downstairs of my house. I've met with Mr. Dean and the old engineer years ago when they took a little bit of water in, kind of looked around what was going on. My background, I'm a chief engineer. I work for a big real estate company in New York, and I deal with all these trades. Kind of look back behind Rennie Lane, what's happening. We have an open culvert that probably hasn't been maintained in 50 years. There's trees, there's everything. It should be open and clean. It's a 10-foot wide culvert that goes into a 30-inch pipe. And a 30-inch pipe by 25 inches high probably, you can only use half of it, because once it becomes filled, it mechanically will not work because you can't vent any water. Explained what should be done years ago. They kind of cleaned up the woods a little bit, built a berm, kind of never had problems again, other than when we had heavy rainstorms, I catch water on my property. Never really moaned about it. I said, there's no damage. It disappears. The storm before Ida, you could not drive through our block. My video I've sent to the board. Thank you for who's gotten back to me. I appreciate it. My son has a Jeep. He was the only one who was able to get through. Between Andy McCluskey's house and the house above him, the water was probably 40 feet wide coming through the culvert because it just plugs. It's all underground on the junior high property. It stops the water. That has to be changed. You have to keep that culvert going. I spoke to one of the guys in the town, I do not remember his name, came, looked at it, he's like, yeah, you're right. This has to be opened up because if was leaking water from my property, sewage, you guys would come on me and make me fix it immediately. This has been going on for years and years and years. And when it's bad, I mean, I just get a little bit of water on my property, it goes away, but my property's wet. The guy used to cut my lawn and be like, God, your property's always soaking, Dan. But it wasn't damaging my home. You know, this is my retirement money, you know, and I had probably $50,000, $60,000 in damage to the bottom of my home. And I'm just looking for help. I'm supposed to meet with Mr. Dean and the new engineer who I do not know tomorrow. I haven't gotten a confirmation on that, but a couple other neighbors would like to come because it's getting worse. So I'm just asking for your help. I have some pictures I'd like to show you from outside my house, into my house. You can just view and throw them out after I have copies.
Sure.
But
You-
I'm
right,
just here
right.
for help. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay. Jeez, I can't see anything anymore. Lisa DeFisciani? Well, they're right there, they can talk to them.
You should make sure and confirm with these two guys.
Hi. I mean, I'm sorry for a second, Lisa. You can confirm with Jim's over there
About your
now,
meeting tomorrow, Jim's there and the.
if you want to confirm it. Okay. Hi. My name is Lisa DeFisciani. I'm a resident on Green Hedges Lane. These are all of my neighbors that are here today that experienced flooding during Hurricane Ida. I'm also a candidate for the Orangetown Town Board. So my comments tonight are about the impact of the recent storms, including Hurricane Ida, in our community. This issue of overland flooding, which occurs from excessive stormwater runoff, is a big problem, and what everybody is talking about today, that the storm drains can't handle the amount of water that's going into them. First, I did want to thank all the volunteer firefighters, the highway department, and public work employees, police officers, and other first responders who did a tremendous job assisting in Orangetown during and after the storm. These brave men and women rescued people trapped in their vehicles, answered distress calls from homeowners, handled power outages and road closures, cleaned up storm debris, and much more. Their effective response prevented loss of life, helped contain property damage. From this hurricane, I think we had nearly 4 inches of rainfall, maybe more. I do feel fortunate to live in a community where we can count on our volunteers, our public employees, and neighbors to look out for one another during difficult times. I know that many Orangetown residents are facing considerable loss and property damage because of the storm, which can be hard to recoup. Of course, my heart goes out to them, the Powers being one of them. There was a few issues that were brought to my attention. Many neighbors didn't know what to do during the storm. They weren't quite sure who to call or kind of what to do once floodwater started entering their homes. What I'm offering to the town board is it's a flood preparedness guide that I did make when I was on the village board in Piermont, when I was on the chair of the Waterfront Resiliency Commission. It's a template that can be used for each hamlet in Orangetown that can be posted on the website. It tells you what to do before a storm, during a storm, and after a storm, and how to keep yourself safe. So if water's going up to your electrical outlets, don't go. How to turn off your fuse boxes. But it's a really easy template that can be used and posted on the town website. So I can leave that for you. That was one of the things. My other comment is about the sewer systems getting overwhelmed more frequently, and untreated discharges of sewer in Nyack, Piermont, Spark Hill, and Orangeburg. Usually the stated cause of the discharges is overcapacity of the systems. Right now there's untreated sewage in the river, creek, on the Erie Path, and in the Hackensack, feeding into the Suez Reservoir and our drinking water supply, which is really unacceptable. I'd like to hear from Orangetown and Rocklin County Sewer what the plans they are to increase the capacity or separate the stormwater and the sanitary sewer systems to build capacity to deal with the storms of this nature without dumping raw sewage. It's a public health issue and needs to be addressed, especially when it's leaking into our drinking water supply. Lastly, I'm just wondering about the leaf pickup for the fall and if that's going to happen again, because I'm worried about the leaves also clogging storm drains and us having continued issues with flooding. Thank you. If you want to, the forms, if you want to give it to the town clerk, will take it for you. Thank you. Is there anybody else here who has not spoken that would like to speak? That's okay. No, that's okay. You can get up.
The night that the storm happened, the water, I just want you to know clearly that it flowed from the Powers house all the way down Green Hedges to the only catch basin in front of my house. And when the fire department, Lisa and her husband, came over to help me because my other neighbors couldn't even get down their driveway, even the fire department said they could barely drive down Green Hedges because that's how much water was running down it. My house became a lake. And thankfully, the fire department came. They had to turn off my gas, my electricity in the basement because the flooding, it just happened so quickly. And never before did I have that. But the whole entire street all their sump pumps, every bit of rain from Erie, even on a normal rainy day, all of it comes down to the only catch basin in front of my house. There's one across the street, but the road is pitched for my house. So I have probably spent $50,000, $60,000 over the years getting generators, new gutters to a house that was already brand new, putting in. Last year, I got summoned by the town for my sump pump putting out too much water. I spent $5,000 on another big dry well. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So something has to be done. I did call the highway department, and someone came and spoke to me. They looked and they saw, and they said, hopefully you'll put it in new ones. Kevin Cantwell told me today that his plans from 1960, in that development, 2 other catch basins were supposed to be put in the court. So to have that much water on a normal rainstorm come down in front of my house is ridiculous. But with the last 2 storms, I mean, it was almost unsafe to be there.
Thank you.
You know, and the timing of it couldn't have been any worse either. But I do thank, I mean, the fire department is great both times. I mean, it's the only time I ever had to call them, at least in Blauvelt. But, you know, they came, and if it wasn't for them and neighbors, I don't know what would have happened. But I hope, you know, I'll come to the next meeting, but I do hope there's a plan in action.
You did send an email or something to,
I sent 2 emails.
To the highway
I made
department and
several calls to the
okay.
highway department, to the building department. I haven't heard back yet from,
So-
because the other problem is neighbors are somewhat around me, not, you know, not here, you know, they change their lawn for a different reason or put in a built-in pool, and then they raise it, and the amount of water coming on my property is ridiculous. And I shut off my irrigation a month ago, and you would never know it if you walked around my lawn. I mean, I was lucky enough to get a generator right before Sandy, just for my 2 sump pumps. And I could have had 100 sump pumps, but that amount of water to come onto my property was ridiculous.
thank you. I'm going to, well, let me see if there's anybody else who wants to speak before I, is there anybody else here who has not spoken that would like to speak?
Good evening, Board. My name is Kevin Cantwell. I reside at 8 Green Hedges Lane in Blauvelt. I just want to support what Ms. McHugh was saying, that as a resident of Green Hedges Lane, you know, flooding is not, I think a lot of us here today, because it was just, we hit that peak, but it's not a new problem. It's been consistent, and the sewer drain, storm drain system on Green Hedges has never been adequate, and it's been overflowed on numerous occasions, and, you know, last week was just that straw that broke the camel's back, which brought us here to speak to you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you get his
Someone
name?
else.
I didn't get it. I'm
Can
sorry.
you say your name again, sir?
Yeah, I'm sorry, we missed you. Thank you.
Kevin Cantwell.
My name's Nori Michelle. I'm also, we're all neighbors on Green Hedges. Same thing, we had the sump pump continue to run. We also invested in a generator that's hooked up to the house. Because where Rennie became a pool onto Erie Street, I kid you not, there was waves going down Green Hedges Lane. We also got affected. Our whole downstairs is wiped out. Right now, we don't know where we stand financially. We have New York Water and Mold Company. They came out. We know for sure we're in the thousands to replace the damage that was done. That unfortunately, Sue and Danny got the worst of it, continued to mine, and then Una got slammed also. It kind of went. So we are asking that please, like, we've spent all the money to prevent this, you know, taking care of our homes, and just please consider what we can do for this, because we can't go through this again. My sister said, what's the chance of this happening again? I said, look at the last 2 years. Whoever thought that we'd be where we are now? The chances are pretty likely. So please take all of us into consideration.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Miriam? That's your first name?
Noreen.
Doreen, and what's your last name?
Michelle.
Okay, anybody else that would like to speak that hasn't had a chance to speak? Jim, you want to just come up for a second and we can, I know, okay, you want to make a motion to close the public portion? Second. Move, second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Just, I know you've.
Yes.
I know you've been inundated and everybody wants it done yesterday, but just, if you, just how you're processing all these issues.
Well, we're answering any calls that we got, any notices that we've had. As was mentioned, we've had people in the field getting the information. We're putting together a map townwide by the neighborhoods that have been impacted by this storm. It has been a tremendous amount. Some of the systems just could not handle it. They were overwhelmed. Over the years, we've replaced some systems, upgraded some systems, and this may be another section that we're going to have to look at. Eamon and I are going to meet with Mr. Powers and his neighbors, if they're there tomorrow, in the field, so we can get a feel for it. Engineering has looked at a couple of times. We've not done a complete study, I don't believe. But we have done in other locations and made some positive improvements.
Okay.
All right, just one, adding on to that, Sunset Road, do we know where we stand over there? Because
They got flooded too?
there's a stream. There's a stream on Sunset Road, and
Just
the retaining wall.
be careful what you say.
I'm not gonna say-
Same street.
That's the exhaust
But-
of
but-
the
Yeah,
area
but like,
on
I
Green
went
Hedge.
over to Ari Garcia's house, and his property is collapsing, and we're looking, there's an easement on one side of the road, and we're being told there's no easement on the other side of the road, so kind of trying to figure out how that could happen.
Well, we're reviewing that with engineering. I just found out about that this afternoon, that there was some concern about whether or not there was an easement. I'm not sure what the status is. I think initially we think that there is not an easement. So then it's going to be a decision of how do you go on private property and make repairs if, we don't have a legal right to do that. So that's going to include our attorneys also.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks.
All right. Make sure
Don't-
you got it, right?
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Anything else? No?
No.
Good.
Okay, number 3, set the public hearing for October 26th at 7:05 to amend the building construction, adopt this New York Stretch Energy Code. Can I get a motion? Tom Dimity, second. Paul Valentine, all in favor? Aye. Okay, can I get a motion to approve, amend the resolution for Zarin and Steinmetz to extend the CAP redevelopment for H&A Palisades? Okay, Dennis Troy moved, Jerry Vitari second. All in favor? Aye. Approve, authorize the town to sign the settlement documents for the tax certiorari proceeding for Par Builders. Can I get a motion? Tom Dimity, second. Paul Valentine, all in favor? Aye. Unless you object, I'm just going to go back and forth. Approve of the 2021 certificate of sewer registrations to Tree Stone Builders and Travcon. Jerry Vitari move. Dennis Troy second. All in favor? Aye. Approve the hold harmless agreement for the Flex site plan. I think I'm over here. Tom Divany, second. Paul Valentine, all in favor? Aye. Can we put the lend assistance together? Can we do like 1, 2,
Yeah, you can. Motion to combine
8, 9?
8, 9,
Oh, crap, then they jump into something different.
11,
Okay, 8, 9, 11,
13,
13, 15,
15, 16,
17. That's it, okay. So what'd you do? You made a motion to combine them? Do we have to vote on the motion?
It's just one vote.
Do we have to vote on that?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so,
All in favor?
we have a second. I'll second it. Okay, so Tom made the motion to consolidate. I'm going to second it. And we all say? Aye. And now we vote on them?
Yes.
Okay. And so can I get a motion? Dennis Troy makes a motion to approve. Jerry Vitari seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay. We should do that more often. Okay, number 10, approve the agreement with the South Orangetown School District for use of the South Orangetown Middle School pool facility. Tom Divany, second. Well, no, I don't know. I lost it. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Authorize the addendum for the renewal regarding the agreement with the South Orangetown School District for the school resource officer. Tom Divany moved, Jerry Vitari, second. All in favor?
Jake, let me ask,
Yeah.
Pro River, do we have the agreement this year?
Yeah, the Pro River agreement, just, we roll it over. South Orangetown usually approaches us asking for a separate resolution, so we do it.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, the agreements are continuing.
Okay. 18, appoint Ellen Fordham to a position of Administrative Secretary Permanent, effective September 15th. Jerry Vitari moved. Paul, was that Paul second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Approve the purchase of a state bid vehicle to the assessor's office for the amount of $29,167. Second. Tom, Dennis Troy, all in favor? Aye. Authorize the Orangetown Justice Court to apply for a grant application. Second. Jerry Vitari, all in favor? You are the fastest mover in the West. Wait, we got to accept and receive some documents, some town view.
Moved.
Okay, Tom Divany, second.
I'll second.
Paul Valentine in favor?
Aye.
Okay. On the audit.
Items of interest should be less than 6 tonight.
Yeah, it's been a
Okay. Tonight's audit consists of 4 warrants for a total of $2.2 million. The first warrant had 82 vouchers for $1.3 million. Items of interest, 1 and 2, the applied golf contracts. Number 4, CSEA Employee Benefit Fund, $30,000 for dental benefits. Number 5, JP Morgan Equipment Finance, $53,000 for the energy performance contract. Number 6, NIPA, $21,000 for the streetlight contract. Number 7, Department of Civil Service, $734,000 for healthcare benefits. Second warrant had 25 vouchers for $156,000. Number 1, Capasso, $74,000 for recycling. The third warrant had 14 vouchers for $180,000. Number 4, Bauer Crowley, $134,000 for public officials and cybersecurity insurance renewals. The fourth warrant had 208 vouchers for $578,000. Number 17, Lothrop, $83,000 for the town hall design. Number 18, Munis, $49,000 for finance payroll software for the annual agreement. Number 19, Robert Green Truck Service, $29,000 for the assessor's vehicle. Number 24, Tomco Construction, $70,000 for Homes for Heroes project. Any questions on the audit?
No. Motion to accept the audit? Tom Divany. That's the motion he's done in one night. Second? Dennis Troy, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we are going to executive session to discuss proposed pending or current litigation and employment matters. We're going to adjourn in memory of Bruce Bayes, if I'm saying it properly, resident and volunteer firefighter of Tapan, and Kevin O'Brien, resident of Pearl River and Son of Orangetown's Adult Recreation League Coordinator, Tom O'Brien. Okay.
Yeah.
And one more.
Oh.
Marie Boyle,
Oh,
Marie Boyle of Orangeburg.
did she used to work at the town?
She worked here in the
She worked in the
receiver of
in the
taxes, yes.
receiver's office.
For a while, she retired
Yeah.
from there, yes. That's today.
Okay, so, former town of Orangetown resident.
And
Employee.
if I could, with Kevin O'Brien, great Pro River family, all these folks, it's sad to lose them, but Kevin was a referee in a slow break league that 4 of the guys up here played in. He might not have made a...
Actually,
yeah. Well, Tom, right.
Dwight Tom?
Tom. When they needed a guy, they got Tom.
I was going to say, they called it slow break for a good reason.
But a great Pro River family and a great guy, and part of the Orangetown Rec program, him and his father, obviously.
Okay. Okay, so what do I need? I need to, we're not gonna, we're not gonna vote on anything when we come out. So, God, he wants to, okay, somebody, okay. Joe moved. Okay, so Tom Timoney, he moved everything else. You might as well move it. And Paul Valentine, all in favor, aye. Okay.